Elric of Melniboné, the haunted, treacherous and doomed albino sorcerer prince, is one of the great creations of fantasy. He was one of the first fully fleshed out anti-heroes in the genre. Described as someone who was feared by enemies and friends alike, he was the destroyer of his own cruel and ancient race, as well as being its final ruler, and the victim of a destiny as dark and cursed as his soul-stealing sentient black blade, Stormbringer. Moorcock was a prolific writer, and Elric appears in various guises from the 1960s onwards. When I read his work now, the wording seems a little clunky, but his imagination and the vibrancy of his characters shines through. This is how Elric is described in 1972's Elric of Melniboné. He is the colour of a bleached skull. His flesh and the long hair which flows below his shoulders is milk white. From the tapering, beautiful head start two slanting eyes, crimson and moody, and from the loose sleeves of his yellow gown emerge two slender hands, also the colour of bone. The fantasy genre may have come a long way since the 1960s, but Moorcock's influence cannot be underestimated. He inspired David Gemmell, for example, and his influence is possibly now more important than his body of work. David Gemmell took the anti-hero to a new level by adding stronger plots, characters and world building, but I can hear echoes of Moorcock's work in the creations of Gemmell and more recent authors like Tad Williams and Stephen Erickson. The legend of the albino anti-hero Elric is best enjoyed in the two books The Stealer of Souls and Stormbringer. It is Elric that confirms Michael Moorcock's place in the pantheon of great fantasy writers, and why these two novels feature in the Fantasy Masterworks series. While his novels about Elric were a seminal influence in the 1960s and 70s, they weren't his only creation. Moorcock's stories take place across countless realities, dimensions and timelines. He created the concept of the Eternal Champion and placed him in this multiverse. The Eternal Champion is a hero who is destined to be reborn throughout various realities, perpetually fighting to prevent either law or chaos from gaining complete control. The brooding figure of Elric is just one reincarnation of this hero. Moorcock constantly returns to the cosmic balance between law and chaos with other anti-heroes, such as Corum, a prince with a silver hand, Hawkmoon, and Jerry Cornelius, a strange and enigmatic figure who embodies the Eternal Champion in a modern setting. What has been largely forgotten is that Elric was a conscious reaction to the fantasy clichés found in the works of Tolkien and the spate of novels inspired by The Lord of the Rings. Elric is an anti-hero, now a common trope or theme in novels, rare at the time Moorcock began writing about him. Why he was created may have been forgotten, but Elric himself lives on. He's been portrayed in comics, role-playing games, music and film. I read the Elric novels in the early 1970s. There wasn't an abundance of grimdark-style literature at the time, which is why I think his work is so important and still a thoroughly good read. And Moorcock is underestimated as a writer. His Dances at the End of Time trilogy are gentle comedies which are a delight to read, while at the same time quite thought-provoking. But that is a different podcast for another day. Well, that's all for this episode. If you like these podcasts and find them useful, please follow or subscribe and share them with your friends. If you want to help with the cost of making them, you can buy me a coffee. Links to all the books I recommend can be found below.